Okay, guys, how's it going? I'm back. It's been a while. I have not posted any videos for about a week and a half. I've been traveling, enjoying the rest of my summer, the waning days of summer,
Odell, you're up.
and I need to mute my stream. I'm sorry about that. An ad auto-played. All right, we're live. Hello, guys. How's it going, David? Arab Assassin, Fred, Kazi, nice to see you. Nico, Edit. I like that name, Edit. Anton, the channel's biggest fan. Hello, Anton. It's been a while. Hello, Gwen. Dynaboy, Brendan, Kyle, Dehan, Colin. Colin, our second mod. The very rare second mod. Only Anton and Colin have been designated mods on this channel. And Colin got the position because several months ago he messaged me and said, hey, I'm unemployed, but I'm really looking forward to your stream tomorrow, because I was streaming at the time on the following day. I was like, hey, do you want a job? You can be the mod for tomorrow's stream. We'll put you to work. I can't pay you, but maybe people will throw fire emojis at you. So Colin has been a mod ever since. He's not 100% punctual. Like sometimes he misses streams, but we still love you, Colin. Hi, Clarence and Liam. Fuzzy. Everything good on my end? Video look good, sound look good. Like I said, I haven't recorded for a while. I am back home, though, on my usual computer with my usual setup, as you can see by the king in the background. So everything should be fine. Hello, G. Taylor at Checks, HS, Check Tees, Anuj. Anuj, in order to become a mod, you have to ask very nicely, and I have to be in the right mood. I'm not a big fan of censorship, although sometimes it is necessary. Very rarely we have some knuckleheads in the channel that we have to put into place, and I think the mods do a great job of that. Okay, let's get into a game here. I'm going to play some 5-minute, I think, because it's been a while. I feel like I have slightly lost touch with you guys in my very long week and a half absence, right? So I think I need to slow down the tempo of our games and kind of chat with you guys. Okay, I'm opening with Knight F3 because I can play this pretty easily and still look at the chat. So just firing up the stream tonight because it was a good time to do it. Okay, so he plays this line. I think I'm going to go for C4. Let's see if he takes the center space with D4 or if he does something else. I am hero from Russia. Okay, so I'm going to try to go here and just regain the pawn with knight takes C4. How's it going, Turbo Saxon? I can't promise much of an advantage out of this particular line, but it's playable for white. I'm going to put my bishop on B2. Whoa, I have a decent 5-minute rating here, too. Let's try not to screw this up. I didn't realize I was over 2,500 in 5 minutes. That's not bad. So, fire emojis on deck. Please get them ready. Yeah, I see some already. Gwen and Carl D already got the message with the fire emojis. How is everyone's remainder of summer going? Everyone good? Going back to school? Sending your kids back to school? Back to college? Maybe nothing is different because you're an adult and your life is boring, like me. Now, there's always something to look forward to, right? Ah, congratulations, Check Tees. Nice to hear that. Okay, so here I'm thinking about playing D4 so that after some trades in the center, I can pressure this pawn on B7. I could also play knight E5. Knight E5 might be a more clinical way of getting an advantage. Let's do that. I want to unleash this bishop somehow. I want the bishop pointed at the knight on C6 and the bishop on B7. So we control the C6 square. Okay, so I can just grab this baby if I want. I could also play D4 and try to push my luck. I don't know that that's the best course of action, though. I feel like it may be correct just to snatch this guy. And then I could try to open the center, like D4 makes a lot of sense here, I think. Yeah, let's do that. We'll strike while the iron is hot. See if we can get a swap here. I'm going to trade the queens. But, ooh, did he blunder the A7 pawn? Can I just go take that? Queen takes A7. If rook A8, there's queen takes B7. That's all good. So queen takes A7, queen D2. Probably bishop E5 then, hitting the rook. I feel like I should come out at least a pawn ahead out of this transaction. So let's bank that. Yeah, the number next to the name, or next to the rating rather, so this number in parentheses is the material count for both sides. That's a frequent question. Okay, so bishop e5 I was thinking here. Hit the rook. Black does not have time to take on e2. Now when I take b7, I will be hitting the bishop. That has got to be helpful, right? Hit the bishop. I don't think they can play queen takes e2, even though that hits my bishop. Because after queen takes e7, queen takes e5, I have bishop takes a8, winning an exchange. So that's looking good. Good night, Connor. You can watch this on the archive version when you wake up. Okay, bishop takes d5. What's up with that? Do I just win this bishop here? Bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes e7. That's an exchange that should favor me, but can I even improve on that? I mean, maybe I should throw in bishop takes g7 first, although that's getting a little fancy. I'm not sure how that works out. So my thinking is take on g7, and if they take, then bishop takes d5, and I'm going to get at this guy. But what makes me nervous is if bishop takes g7, rook b8, perhaps. One of the rooks to b8, chasing my queen. Bishop takes d5, on the other hand, is pretty stable. I could actually just swap queens, right? Swap queens might be the simplest thing to do of all. Gets a little activity out of that, though. I can't, like, completely autopilot it. Rook d1, rook e1. How about rook d1, queen takes e2, rook e1, followed by bishop takes d5 coming up? I know I'm thinking here for a moment, but this could be a big decision. I might win some material out of this, so I want to be certain. Okay. Yeah, I think this works. I'm going to do it. So queen takes e2, rook e1, followed by bishop takes d5, and I hope I just get this guy, basically. Bishop takes d5 would have been the safer way to prosecute that, but two bishops in an open position, I feel like I can go for more, and with black's coordination being highly suspect. Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. Yeah, so now we're going to do this. No whammies, no whammies. Fingers crossed. If queen a6, I have bishop takes d5, and I hold my queen, importantly. Oh, okay, no, never mind. That doesn't work for them. I was thinking queen a6, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5 for a second, but I can just play queen takes e7 then. I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, teaching at this chess camp. That was the primary reason I haven't posted in a week and a half. That was last week, actually, so I was gone like Sunday through Friday. And it was a really fun camp. The kids were great. We had about 35 kids at the camp at the Charlotte Chess Center. And the camp director is my friend Peter. He's a national master from Charlotte. And we must have played probably, I'd say 150 Blitz games. Maybe that's a little high. Definitely over 100, though. 100 Blitz games. I also played another national master named Dominique Myers in several Blitz games, probably about 20 or 30 against him. I didn't record any of them, though, so I apologize for that. It was kind of like not a great recording situation because it was kind of just me and whoever I was playing against. Okay, what is knight f4? Yeah, he just resigned immediately. That move cannot possibly work. So I could do a number of things against that. I could take on d8. That was my initial thought when I was calculating this a couple moves back. Like rook takes d8, rook takes d8, rook takes e2, and he has a check on the back rank, but bishop f1 is fine. I could also probably just play bishop takes f4, because if rook takes d1, there's queen takes a8 check. So just to illustrate that, like if this happens, we're taking this guy with check. So too many loose pieces for black in this position. So he got in trouble when he didn't notice that the pawn on a7 was hanging right here. He played rook fd8, but then queen takes a7, and all of a sudden I'm up a pawn in an open position. We're going hog wild after that. If black swapped on d4, like let's say queen takes d4, bishop takes d4, b6, they're a little bit worse in this position, that is. And I think my light square bishop in particular will be a strong piece. Two bishops, pretty open position, typical slight edge, but nothing substantial. Yes, exactly, Fianchetto. Peter Giannatos is his name. How often did you win? Yeah, I had a pretty one-sided score against him, especially at the start of the trip. However, I will say that Peter, he kind of figured out how to play against me later on. In his words, he had to just figure out my tricks. He kept saying I was playing for tricks. And once he did that, he scored better. And I would agree with that. In Blitz, like, I'm fairly tricky. Hello, the Kai. Thank you. I missed you too. What's up, Tashi? Akuma, if I didn't add you on chess.com, it's probably since I haven't checked my notifications, friend requests on there for a while, so I probably just didn't click confirm. I actually have more friends on chess.com than I have Facebook friends, which probably tells you something about my life. More chess.com friends than actual real friends. No, but I have a decent amount of Facebook friends too. Hey John, Tal Baron told me that he is preparing a match against you in September. Is that true? I don't know if it'll be in September because he's playing in the Olympiad coming up. But yeah, I talked to him at some point about a match. We were thinking about trying to squeeze it in like a few weeks ago, but it just wasn't very good. Mainly because I've been busy. He's also been kind of busy, but there's like 2 or 3 people I've been meaning to get a match in with, and it's just hard to find the time. Shout out to Brad Tanner, BT. Good to see you in the stream. Thank you, Omar. Hello, Shaunik. How's it going, Shaunik? Good to see you as well. Colin, our relationship is progressing pretty fast. I mean, just because I gave you a moderator position on my stream doesn't mean I can stand in at your wedding as a groomsman. That's a pretty serious commitment. I mean, you never know, but not sure you want to extend that to me. Riddick says, so we will see Naka versus Carlsen. Yeah, so that's a reference to the chess.com match, which is going to go down very soon. Because if you didn't happen to see those matches, pause the video right now because I'm about to spoil the results of the past 2 matches that occurred today and yesterday. So fair warning. But Magnus played against Grishuk, Alexander Grishuk, in the chess.com Blitz battle in the semifinals, I believe. And, let's go Scandi. Why not? And Magnus won pretty handily. It was looking kind of tight at the beginning, but Magnus quickly pulled away. And today, Nakamura, F3 is really weird. Never seen that move. Looks almost like a mouse slip. I'm going to do something. He offered an abort. Let's offer a take back if he wants a take back or 2. Well, I guess not. Okay, we'll just play it. So then today, Nakamura played MVL on chess.com in their Blitz match. And Blitz and Bullet, that is. And that also was handily won by the higher rated, the higher seed, Nakamura. No surprise there. I mean, he's a big favorite against MVL in online chess. Although I have to say, MVL impressed me in the bullet portion. He actually didn't do that bad against Hikaru in the bullet portion of the match. But he did poorly in, I think, the 3+2 section, the middle time control, and that really did him in, unfortunately for him. Okay, so we've got a weird setup here. White has pawns on F3 and D3. If White plays F4 at some stage, trying to go F5, I'm thinking about just sticking my knight on D4 and trying to stop White from playing F5. Oh, so getting back to that chess.com thing, so Nakamura and Magnus will soon play in the final. So they're the only 2 left, the only 2 survivors, and they will play coming up in a much anticipated match. I know that many of you are probably going to count out Nakamura just because of his score against Magnus, but there's many others who will be maybe even pinning Naka as the favorite because online chess is like his domain. That's what he's really, really proficient in. So it's going to be fun to see. So he's rushing with his A-pawn. I kind of want to take advantage of that somehow, but I don't really know how. Maybe knight E5? But knight E5, he can actually just drop his bishop back, and I can't even take his knight. A6 is a little irritating. I think I'm just going to castle and let him go ahead and play A6, and then I'll respond with B6. That pawn on A6 is going to be a thorn in my side the rest of the game, but I think I can I think I can withstand the pressure here. I mean, I have an otherwise solid position, so I'm not incredibly worried yet. I don't know what to predict in that Magnus versus Naka match. I'm torn. I mean, I think Naka's probably a slight favorite, but it's really hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised with either person winning. King h1, probably a prophylactic move. Let's go here. He's probably just getting out of the way of any unpleasantness on the g1, a7 diagonal. I still want to sink my knight into d4. I'm not sure I should have put the rook on d8 now that I think about it. Okay, I'm going to do this now. Compel the trade. And then take with the pawn. I say I probably shouldn't have put my rook on d8 because it might be better on c8 now that the c file is half open. I can look to put my knight on d5. He may want to play f4. f4 might be a decent reaction, although white is not threatening f5 in the near future. So I'm thinking my plan here should be knight d5 and maybe try to make use of the dark squares somehow in the near future, like bishop d6 to f4. If I could sink my knight into e3, that would be spectacular, albeit probably far-fetched. What's the difference between OTB and online, asks Arab Assassin. I think players who play a lot of over-the-board chess will just tell you it has a more serious feel than online play. I personally focus a lot better when I'm playing over the board, when there's just no distractions and you're fully immersed, just you, your opponent, and the chessboard in front of you. It eliminates all the unnecessary stuff about, your phone's not going to go off. Well, it could, and you could get forfeited, I guess, but that's chess at its purest form, as opposed to online play, which is a very recent form of the game. And you can still play well online, but I think just the seriousness of the game itself is amplified when you play over the board. Okay, so I was thinking bishop d6 here, but I'm not positive. Bishop d6 kind of invites knight e4. I'd like to play knight d5, but I don't think I'm in a position to do that. Knight d5, he can play f5, and at the end I have trouble with my bishop. So I think I need to move this bishop, basically. I'm going to do it. And if knight e4, I might even just play bishop c7 or bishop b8. Let him take on f6, take with the g-pawn. As long as he doesn't get f5 in and trap my bishop, I should be still fine. Or knight e4, maybe I'm just best off playing knight d5. Let him take on d6, I take with the queen. And again, as long as f5 doesn't happen, I'm in the clear. All right, so what's he planning? Queen b7? Or possibly just f5? Yeah, probably f5 more likely. I'm going to drop this guy back. Got to watch the time a little bit too. Maybe I can throw in queen c7 at some stage. If he goes f5 and we get a trade on that square, knight comes up, like queen c7 somewhere. Again, not sure where. Could be annoying hitting h2. It does sort of feel like I've misplayed this somehow. I think maybe the past 5 moves have been inaccurate. Maybe I played a little passive somewhere. How do you feel about the snake Benoni? It's dubious, probably. I don't know that much about it, but it strikes me as a little dubious. Okay, so we'll take now. Knight takes. And queen c7 right here or something else. Because queen c7, he can play bishop f4, can't he? Was also thinking about knight d5. But knight d5, again, I'm going to fall victim to stuff on e7. We cannot have that. And knight takes g7 is the threat, for the record. Removing the defender of this knight. Knight e8 looks odd. Kind of invites bishop g5. So I'm not relishing that move either. Okay, let's go here. Let's just see how he reacts. We're getting kind of lowish on time, so I'm going to look for an opportunity to employ a Scandi swindle, if I can. This frees up the d7 square, so maybe I can play knight d7 to e5. Sure thing, DR. Thank you for letting me know that you like me explaining my thought process. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so he played g3. That creates some weakness on the diagonal, but he probably reasons that I can't do anything about it, which is probably correct. So what about knight d6? Or knight e8, rather, trying to go to d6. It's really passive. I don't fully trust it. What about knight h5? Knight h5 kind of sets up some vague ideas of taking and then sacking on g3. It's probably good enough to play in this position in a blitz game, so I'm going to do it. I sort of fear queen b7. If white can just swap queens and my pieces are poorly placed, that is concerning me a little bit. Okay, so here I could take and then go bombs away with knight takes g3. Don't think it's really that good, though. I have a mate threat, but I think he can cover that in a variety of ways. Let's play rook e8. We're going to be solid for another move. Got to watch that time. I should stop babbling. Can he win a pawn here? Trade and then take on d4? Yeah, he probably can. That would be bad for me if that happened. And then he's got a threat on f7 too. Or pressure on f7. Get those fire emojis out. We need Armacord to go wrong in the complications and time pressure. So even if he finds knight takes d4, let's go, Team Scandy. Okay, I'm going to bring this knight back from the brink. It's really doing me no favors on h5. Let's go here, just to see what he does. I'm thinking maybe even check here. That one, I think I can just run this way. Queen takes h5 he can play. Maybe. Queen b7 he's going to do. That's the move I was kind of worried about at various times. Okay, let's just be solid for now. He's got 16 seconds left. Take. Yep, f5. Trade with me. If we can escape to an endgame, we're all good, right? Check. Let's take here first. Oh, he dropped a piece. Yeah, lucky for me, my opponent was thinking too much like 5 or 6 moves ago and lost on time. That was really fortunate. I was getting outplayed in the middle game. I mean, he found a good plan. Playing knight g3 and then eventually preparing f4, f5 is a good way for white to improvise in this position. This is actually sort of a standard plan. White can try this in various forms in the Scandi. I think I played a couple moves that look okay, but in reality really don't do much. Like rook d8. I would even characterize this as an autopilot move. I kind of just played it because it looks like the rook should be centralized. But as I explained, if I'm going to play knight d4 after that and then take with the pawn, what is my rook doing on d8? Just blocking, shooting down a blocked file, basically. It'd be much better on c8, I would think, where it at least has some chances. All right, see you, Colin. Thanks for showing up. So we win that game, luckily. But yeah, it wasn't pretty. The Juice asks, hey, John, Golden State, first team to go 82-0. Not a chance. Not a chance. I will say this, because, I watch a decent amount of NBA, especially in the later half of the season when you're getting close to the postseason and whatnot. I think the Golden State Warriors and the run they had this past season is going to be very, very hard for them to imitate again, even though they have Durant now. I think just the chemistry that they had this past season and now the expectations of having another amazing season with less than 10 wins is going to be absolutely insane. So somehow I don't see it happening for them. I mean, I think they'll still be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference and have an amazing season, but what they had last season is going to be really, really hard to replicate, right? That's just the way it seems to me. John, you ever played Charo Dej on ICC? I think that's a Grandmaster. I remember their name, but I don't recall playing them. I probably have played them a time or two. John, what do you think about the World Championship location in New York? I don't know too much about the actual site they're in, but New York City is the perfect place. I mean, if you're going to do a major chess event, the World Championship, in a U.S. city, I mean, I think it's got to be New York. Maybe these days St. Louis has a big claim, but it's hard to beat New York for the visibility of the location. That venue is just, I mean, that's America right there. John, are named pawn structures worth studying in depth? For example, the Carlsbad, the hanging pawn, the Isolani. I didn't catch what rating you mentioned you were. That's something that you might want to get into in like the middle rating ranges. So yeah, if you're like 1500 plus, then it would make sense to familiarize yourself with some of the major structures. One book I really like that deals with IQP positions in particular is this book called Winning Chess Structures by Alexander Baburin, Grandmaster Baburin. It's fantastic. Like almost the entire book is about IQPs, isolated queens pawn positions. There's some discussion of hanging pawns in other scenarios too, but the amount of material and amount of good material that is in that book on IQPs is like unmatched. It's just a really good introduction to that sort of pawn structure and pawn structures in general. Will you be at the World Championship? Asked Dark Crusader. Yeah, I want to. I have some traveling I'm doing in October. I'm going to be in New Orleans and Las Vegas. And I'm going to try to swing the World Championship in November if I can. I'd like to go for at least a game or two. I mean, when else am I going to have a chance to go to a World Championship in the U.S.? So, yeah, I'd love to go. No upcoming tournaments for me. No, I don't have anything on my horizon. I played that one 5-round tournament earlier this month, a couple weeks ago. But beyond that, I had no plans, and I still have no plans. Okay, let's get back in there. Going for another game. Do you ever run into Chess Network? Pretty rarely, Element. Every once in a while I'll play him on some site, but very, very rarely. Isaiah, the only way you can figure out your rating is if you play an over-the-board tournament. I mean, people try to make approximations based on online ratings, but I haven't seen anything that's really that accurate. The best indication of your strength is an over-the-board tournament, man. Jump in and see how you fare. I've said this before, but I think people wait too long to play over-the-board chess. I know a lot of you guys play online and you've got into chess primarily in an online setting. But if you're serious about the game and you want to take it to the next level, like, don't wait. Like, just dive into it, man. It'll be fun. I mean, it'll be nerve-wracking for you your first time too, but you'll thank yourself for really knowing where you stand after that first event. And I think you'll agree with what we were talking about earlier about the seriousness of the game being amplified and really coming to the fore when you play an over-the-board tournament. There's really nothing like it. Okay, I'm going to take on d5. I'm playing the knight f6 Scandi just to mix it up a little bit. I kind of want to play c6 here. Their bishop is a little weird on b5 in this structure. But then again, they have forced my knight to d7, which you could deem a concession, maybe. Okay, I'm thinking of a weird idea. I might try it. I'm going to do this, and after bishop a4, I'm going to play e5. Which in a normal Scandi, like a queen d8 or a queen a5 version of this, is hardly ever played. Like, you very rarely see black playing e5 this early, except for some lines of the knight f3 variation. But this is a knight f6 line. It's a little offbeat, so let's try it, see what happens. Okay, I'm going to take here now. Then maybe bishop c5. Yeah, I feel like even a trade, bishop takes c5 should be fine for me. And he opts not even to go down that road, so I think he believed me. Let's take here now. I want to develop my light square bishop, but first I need to move this knight, and with the knight needing to defend the bishop, that wasn't going to happen. So let's go here. Attack the bishop. Maybe I can compel it to the b3 square, which looks a little odd. Maybe suboptimal for them. Okay, so they're letting me take on a4 if I want, but I can't do it right now because my queen is hanging on d8. I could just play bishop e6. That's probably what I should do. Yeah, let's play that move. So connect our queen on d8 with the rook on a8. Now if we swap off, they're still going to have this issue with the pawn on c4 after all is said and done. I still kind of want to trade, so I think I'm going to play this. They are discovered attacking my queen, but this looks good, right? Which way to take if they do take? Maybe I should take with the a-rook. Yeah, a-rook might be best. Let's do it. So they just have issues with this pawn. They almost have to play... I think they do have to play b3 if they want to save it and wall in this bishop. But then after knight c5, that's looking very awkward for white. Yeah, I'm not going to take that bishop yet. I'm just going to let it languish there on the a4 square where it's trapped in. This move, I can even drop my bishop back to c8 if I want. It's kind of an attractive solution. Or play f3. Maybe we'll go f3 first and try to induce some sort of weakness. Yeah, now we'll bring it back to c8. I'm just curious how they're going to extricate themselves from this position with the bishop on a4. I can tell I haven't done videos for a while because I'm already getting hoarse like a half hour into this stream. Please bear with me. Okay, does that drop a piece or close to it? Because I can take and then try to play c5. I guess it doesn't quite drop a piece, but it almost feels like it should for them. Knight e6, they're going to double up, so that doesn't work. Knight takes a4, knight takes... Take, c5, knight b3. Really wish that one material, but it doesn't work. Could just content myself with a positional advantage after all of that. It's just one of these positions I feel like there should be more. How can I improve my position? Rook d6 maybe? Yeah, let's play rook d6. Rook d7 is also interesting. I'm going to try rook d7. Looks a little weird, but my rook is very well protected here. That's the reason why I like this move. But maybe rook d6 was better. Rook d7 is kind of dumb in regards to this piece. I was thinking I could go knight e6, but... Knight e6. You can actually just take it. I don't know, rook takes d2 comes with check then. Knight e6, he has to play, I think, king e3. And we could just have mass trades on d4. But that's not really what I want. All right, I'm going to do this now. I've been postponing this decision. And unfortunately, again, I'm not going to win anything. Whoa, what is rook b2 about? Okay. Let's take that. Yeah, he just completely blundered. Now he's asking for a take back. Should I give this guy a take back? What say you guys? Should we do the thing from Gladiator, like thumbs up or thumbs down? Because he was moving pretty fast. I mean, when he was just blitzing out all his moves, I don't really have much sympathy. At the same time, it might be kind of interesting to see what happens. Mercy or no mercy? What do you guys think? He resigned before I could actually make the decision. This is my gladiator moment. I'm the emperor from Gladiator, and you guys are the crowd in the Colosseum. Yeah, but he resigned. He gave up. I think the no's were having it anyways. Yeah, that was clearly a mouse slip, though. I mean, no question about it, because no one in their right mind would play rook b2. There's not even like a logical thing associated with that. But again, like when someone's playing really fast and they're clearly trying to like press you on the clock, like I have less sympathy for that sort of thing, just from a game theory standpoint. So if he had played b takes a4, let's just explore this for a second. So b takes a4. I wasn't sure how to proceed because always I would like to play c5, but they can respond with knight b3 and the rook on d2 is defended. Maybe we can claim some slim advantage in an endgame like this. Maybe b6 now, but there's even scenarios where I can play a5. Like a5 is probably a good move here. If I take it, knight b3, and they're going to win back one of the pawns. So that's always the issue. I'm just going to back up and see. I'm going to add in the engine because I am genuinely curious if I could have played this better. Like the bishop on a4 just looks so bad. Knight c5. Yeah, you guys can see that. So that's the eval right there. So the engine thinks I'm about a pawn and a half better. Ah, bishop takes c4. Yeah, missed that shot. Remove the defender. So if he takes with the b pawn, we get to take on a4. Is there some sort of complication with like knight takes c6 maybe? Probably not. Knight takes c6. I guess I can just take, huh? Yeah. And he still has that issue persisting. You know when a position just kind of speaks to you and you feel like there must be a tactic there? Like that's what I was getting, this strong sense that there's got to be something. I mean, tactics are the natural culmination of a superior position. You know, if you build up your position strategically, oftentimes there's just a tactic present once you've improved your position sufficiently. So yeah, bishop takes c4 is probably what I missed. I did something fancy, right? I did bishop g4 and then back to c8. Oh wow, and they could have played this move now. That is very interesting. So is the idea to get two pawns, and then white is within striking range of the a7 pawn, also maybe knight e7 check somewhere, but probably mainly the a7 pawn. And white is actually completely fine according to the computer. They're hitting my rook as well. So white had a chance to bail out there. They did this instead. And here I should take with the c knight. Okay, that's the line I was looking at. Take, take. But again, I didn't do it because c5, I felt like this wasn't leading anywhere. The engine just likes b6 now, and again, it says advantage black. Not a great advantage, less than half a pawn, but that's an appreciable edge. So that was another opportunity. Rook d7 is kind of a funky-looking move. I mean, rook d6, if I'm going to double on the d file, looks more logical, but I was worried that some knight f5 shot somewhere would be bothersome. Although that's kind of a ridiculous fear now that I think about it. So I was thinking, oh, this is nice because the rook is so well protected. Uh-oh, people are being bad in the chat. Thanks, Lotzi. Glad to be back. John, how did you lose your game at the Twin Ports Open? Everyone thought you were winning. Not sure. Okay, well, I know which game you're talking about. I don't want to spoil anything, though, because I do plan to analyze rounds 2 through 5 on the channel, so I'm not going to say anything about that yet, Brad. So just to summarize this game, yeah, I eventually went for the exchange on a4. And had this been played, I think I'm looking at, again, like tiny edge, but nothing I can really hang my hat on. Let's say this endgame occurs, b6. Or, yeah, maybe a5 is better, as the computer's advocating. It seems weird to do this. Like, normally when playing against a knight, you don't want to fix your pawns, because they're easy prey for the knight. But if knight b3, I can play b6, very solid. And because I played a5, I'm stopping white from moving their a pawn up, so that a pawn might just be a sitting duck for bishop d7. Okay, so interesting little scenario there with white having a bad bishop on a4 and me having a couple shots, especially bishop takes c4. That was something I missed. Chris is asking about the Danish gambit with d takes c3, bishop c4, c takes b2, bishop takes b2 to be acceptable for white. Yeah, I think in practice that line is okay for white. As far as I know, white gets good compensation, especially in faster time controls. And as black, I would not even want to venture into that. So just to show you what line he's referring to. So the Danish gambit is d4 on move 2, takes, and then c3. And takes, white can play knight takes c3 and just be down 1 pawn and hopefully claim compensation, but they can also play a developing move, bishop c4, and be down 2 pawns, but have these raking bishops on complementary diagonals. And he's asking about white's compensation here, which I think is pretty substantial. I know that there's some theory, like I think black is supposed to play d5 or can play d5 in this position, I want to say, and give back 1 pawn to try to open lines, but you know, don't just look at the computer eval and say, oh, well, black's better by a half pawn. This whole line must be garbage. I'm not even going to pay attention to it if I'm black, because that's a quick way to get punished. John, thoughts on Ultimate Frisbee? I like it. I actually played it with the kids at the camp this past week. It's fun. I'm not very good at it, but it's fun. I have bad knees. I have torn both my ACLs from playing basketball in the past, so I'm kind of limited with like my side-to-side motion. I'm really careful about that. If I'm running in a straight line forward, I'm fine. But if I'm trying to like go side to side, like if I were a pawn, if I were capturing diagonally, that would cause me some pain and issues. It's mainly like psychological, because that's how I injured myself in playing basketball, is like cutting really quickly. So I don't play a lot of sports involving quick cutting. If you could play any chess player in history, who would it be? I've had that question before. I think I've said Fischer and Capablanca before, so I'll stick with those answers. I'll keep that in mind, Brad. No, I probably won't play in a Scrabble tournament. No. All right, let's get back in there, guys. Back in the pool. John, do you still run? Yeah, actually this summer I've been running more than I ever have before. So I've been putting a lot of miles in this summer. I really like running outside. I don't like running on the treadmill so much. Although it's going to get colder here soon, I'm probably going to have to do it. But yeah, I like to run. Mike O'Sara, I'd probably say more so introverted. Like my Myers-Briggs is INTJ, I believe. So sometimes when I'm doing these videos, I have to force myself to be extroverted. Although I can kind of see myself evolving too. I think I've become more extroverted because I have this channel, actually. But I'm definitely an introvert by nature. I like being social with people and kind of putting myself out there, but it's not like my natural inclination. I'm usually more so the person who's kind of doing their own thing on the sidelines. How are your plants doing? Yeah, Planty McPlantface and Elohim are doing fine. I have them right over here. I'm staring at them longingly right now. They're doing great. If you want some proof of life, let me just get them here. Yeah, they're doing fine. This is Elohim, this is aloe vera, and this is Planty McPlantface. So they're great. They're just chilling on my desk. I do not play Pokemon. No. Thank you to the viewers, the 245 of you who are watching right now. It is almost 11:30 p.m. U.S. Central Time, so thank you for tuning in. Okay, so same player from before. He didn't really seem to know what to do against... Well, maybe that's not fair. He didn't seem completely confident against knight f3, let's say. So I'm going to repeat this move. And g3 again. And let's play a Catalan this time around. So I'm going to go d4 a little sooner and see how he reacts. He's beating me to the punch, though. You know what? I'm going to castle. We're going to get this line. I'm not completely familiar with this line, but I'm going to do my best. There could be theory that I'm unaware of. So I can trade queens if I want, but maybe it's hard to get the pawn back on c4 is the thing. I think there's some theory in this line, like Queen takes d8 and then knight d2, and black can play c3 and try to mess up your structure. I'm going to take here because I'm not sure, so I might as well just get the pawn back. I still have these nice bishops, right? Bishop on g2, still the star. Let's go here. Probably queen b6 is what he'll do, I imagine. Queen b5, okay. It seems mildly difficult for black to develop, though, right? Because, I mean, this bishop can't move yet due to b7. Queen b5, maybe? Queen b5, he can trade and then play bishop d7, however. And I'm not looking at much. Knight into d6, though, at that point. Let's try this move. Otherwise, I'm thinking he might swing the queen over to h5 and try to get something like e5, bishop h3, knight g4 going. So maybe I can just propose a queen trade, sort of like I did in the last game against this guy, under favorable circumstances when he's still got some question marks in regards to his coordination. So I'm thinking queen takes b5, knight takes b5, bishop d7, knight d6. And try to eke out an edge there. What's that instead? So I can still play knight d6 if I want. And then if rook d8, I can play bishop f4 and support it. Should be good for a tiny edge. Just checking I'm not blundering anything. Nah, I think it's fine. Ooh, he just takes it. Okay. Played very quickly. But this is like an identical scenario as compared to the last game. Just two bishops. Bishop on g2, very active. I'm happy. Yeah, and he's going to offer a pawn back right away just to free his position. Honestly, that's probably not a bad decision. He wants to take and then just get his light square bishop out. But you know what? I'm not going to oblige him. I think I stand a much better chance of growing my advantage if I play something calm like what I just did. But yeah, he's being stubborn. He wants bishop b7 now. I could play e4, but e4, he's just going to bring his knight back to f6 probably. Not much going on there. Maybe I will have to settle for the extra pawn. All right, we're going to do it. I was really hoping I could try like not to win that pawn for a while, but it's probably just too difficult. All right, let's go here. He's going to offer a trade. Let's take that. Let's put the bishop on a5, hitting his rook. He can't come into d2 yet. Now we're just going to hopefully incrementally improve our position, like very slowly improve it. b4 could be an issue though, huh? b4 looking to invade. b4 may be worth stopping. Like, I wonder if I should play a3, although that kind of flies in the face of what I'd like to be doing here. I'm going to do it, though, because otherwise I'm not completely sure. Okay, now I'm going to go f3, bring my king up to f2. Oh, now he's going to go rook d1, probably. Yeah. He's playing very quick, too. Quick and confident. I want to shoot my king up here and eventually, like, attack him, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Let's just get our king out a little bit. All right, well, let's box him in for now. So this kind of illustrates the problem with opposite color bishops. Like, you can even be up a pawn, but not be able to achieve anything. He's got all his pawns secure on light squares. Really, the only thing that's weak for him is a6, but it's so hard to even attack that pawn. Just not much I can do here. I'm going to try to advance my majority because, again, I don't see much else to do. Yeah, he wants a stable pawn over there. Guess we'll go here. Continue advancing. Let's see if we can cause some minor ruckus by playing f5, but yeah, he just ignores it probably correctly. Maybe I can play king f4 and over to g5. That's about my only trick I have in this position. Let's play h3. Puts another pawn on a light square, but perhaps g4. Let's bring this guy back. Yeah, not much happening here. Looking for something to do. So now he switches course. I actually forgot he could play that move. Quite honestly. Yeah, this is just a draw. Okay, we're going to try for one trick. I don't think it even works. He can take on h3. I was going to go e6 check. He can play king to e8. Hoping for like e6 check, pawn takes, and then take on g6 and get a passed pawn. But yeah, even that king e8 is going to be fine for him, I think. So probably bishop takes h3, easiest way to draw. And we'll just see if he notices king e8. He does. Yeah, and I think this is just a dead equal position. All right. We're just going to trade down. And game drawn. Okay. So that was a boring game, but an instructive one. This shows like a useful technique in chess, which is when you have a bad position, try to bail out by offering like a small amount of material to guide the position into like a more easily navigable, if that's a word, a more easily like playable position to secure a draw, basically. And an opposite color bishop endgame is prime territory for securing a draw. So even though I'm up a pawn here, black's position is otherwise completely fine. And as you saw, the various simplifications didn't net me any advantage. I have a majority on the king side and in the center, so mainly center majority. I have an e-pawn, black does not, but my pawns can so easily get blockaded on light squares. And black can just harass them like they were playing the bishop behind the pawns, harassing them from the b1, h7 diagonal. And just not much I can do. That limits where my king can go, the fact that his bishop is always attacking my pawn on e4. So that's why I didn't want to take on d5 when he played knight d5, which was a really good defensive try, by the way. I definitely think that's a good plan by him. Computer's showing a big advantage here, but I didn't capitalize. Bishop d2, okay, so it likes that move. b5, and here I decided to go for the pawn, but if I had played... Let me go into examine mode so I can see that. So if I had played e4 there, what's going on? Because I really thought they would just play knight f6, and I didn't really see what I was going to do about bishop b7. If e5, knight d5 right back here, it's more of the same. But actually the computer thinks even this position is advantageous. So what if bishop b7... Wow, go f5 and try to undermine the support of the knight. I think that's accurate, though. If I'm going to have something here, it's round about move 15, 16 is where it's going to happen. Because after this, black's only slightly worse just due to the one less pawn. But he played this very well. I mean, there was never any decision that black made that put the draw in doubt. Why do you like the Scandi so much? I've just been playing it for most of my chess life, Drew. It's just like a very comfortable, familiar opening to me at this point. So, yeah, I can't really explain it. It's not because of the objective merits of the opening, although I think it is fine. I mean, I even wrote a repertoire for it on chessable.com if you want to go check that out. It's more so that I feel very comfortable playing it. Which classic chess player do you think would fare best in modern chess? Oh, I think there's a lot that have like an approach that would... I guess it depends how far back you're going. Like Fischer is not a modern player, but I think he would fit right into the landscape that we currently have. Like he played sharp openings. He loved to prepare in depth. So he would be perfectly suited for the computer generation. If you go pretty far back, I mean, I can tell you some players who maybe would not. Like Capablanca, for instance, incredible player, world champion, one of the most accurate players of all time, probably would not fare too well against modern-day players because Kappa wasn't huge on openings. Often in your games, you kind of just see him getting like some survivable position out of the opening, and then he would work his magic in the middle game, like accumulate advantages and take down his opponents. So he was never like a really big openings guru, even though there are some lines that have his name associated with it. But I think his technique would still be strong, but he might get caught in some of the sharper stuff that is played nowadays, and not like E4, E5, and D4, D5 every game, as happened 100 years ago. Thank Nosberto. Thank you. J-Lo, I was just away for a week or so. I was out of town. I've also been busy the last few days. John, what do you think is the reason the Sicilian Sveshnikov isn't played at the top GM level? Well, it was played circa 2005. Like, that was all the rage, and it seemed like there were tons of high-level games that were featuring the Sveshnikov. But nowadays, like, white can make a draw at will in that opening, which isn't a bad thing for black. I mean, that wouldn't dissuade black from playing it. But I think the strategic nature of the position, the fact that black always has that d5 square to worry about, is limiting black's chances. And black just doesn't win very many games in the Sveshnikov. It's like, white will either make a draw or, like, sometimes win. And it's pretty boring to play, honestly. Like, it looks pretty aggressive for black, but it can lead to some, like, strategically banal positions, if that makes sense. So this is the Sveshnikov variation. Black playing e5 here. White's best reply is knight db5, trying to go knight d6 if allowed. So black usually plays d6, and this is the start of a lot of theory. Usually bishop g5, a6, knight a3, b5 is played. Here white can play bishop takes f6 or knight d5. Both are main lines. Bishop takes f6 being sharper. But I don't think there was any one line that put the Sveshnikov out of business. It just kind of fell out of fashion, maybe because black was having such difficulties ever winning games. Like, drawing games was okay from time to time, but I mean, it's kind of depressing to play an opening where against a good player, you know, like, your best result is just a draw. Okay, guys, I'm going to play one more game and then maybe chat with you guys for a few more minutes and call it a stream. We're right at 1 hour. Trying to make sure I don't go completely hoarse here. John, where do you think is the hardest to get a rating? In chess.com, Lichess, ICC, or OTB? Depends what you mean by how hard to get a rating. I mean, how hard to get a high rating? Definitely over the board. I mean, over the board ratings are the most legit. If you tell someone you're a 2500 and they ask, on what site or in what venue are you a 2500, and you say Lichess versus OTB, I mean, that's a world of difference between the two. So over the board ratings are the most legit. Hello, Burning Tesla. All right, Dim ICC is the last opponent of the night. I'm doing all right today. I might as well keep the Scandi train going, right? May as well. I'm going to play the Queen A5 variation. This is someone I've played before on the channel, at least a couple times, like once or twice for sure. Don't like Queen A5 as much. Yeah, there's some problematic lines. Like I mentioned this line before, D3. I do not like facing this variation. Keeping the pawn on D3 as opposed to D4 is something some players have been doing with increasing frequency in the past few years, and it creates some problems. Like sometimes even if white brings a knight to F3, using the D4 square, especially if black develops the bishop to F5, as they traditionally do in the Queen A5 variation, that can be annoying. It just kind of like, you never have pressure against D4 either, so there's no center pawn that white has to worry about defending. So I'm going to play a line that I have played before in OTB chess. I had a game against Grandmaster Joel Benjamin at, I believe, the 2003 World Open in this variation. So I'm going to pull my queen back to C7. So fianchettoing the dark square bishop. And my hope is that my dark square bishop will be a bigger participant if white castles queenside than it would be if I just played e6 and bishop e7. Although now that I think about it, in that game against Joel Benjamin, I actually did put the bishop on e7. But maybe better off doing what I'm currently doing here. All right, so bishop g5. Is white going to go bishop h6? Well, I'm going to castle because it seems like I have to castle. And if queen d2, let's just develop for now. If white wants to castle and make this a melee, then so be it. We're going to have that type of game. Yeah, I think they're going to try to go h4, h5, and basically hurt me on the queen side. Or on the king side, rather. So let's try to get some counterplay of our own going. We're going to do this. So this should dissuade white from castling long, at least for the moment. I'm going to do something kind of dynamic now. So my idea here is that if there's a double capture on b5... they played this move instead. Should I take my risk with that? Nah, queen h6. I don't like the look of it. Let's just take. So if there's a double capture on b5, I can play queen b7, hitting the knight and also hitting the g2 pawn. That's what I'm thinking of right here. Probably first, though, if a takes b5, I'd throw in knight takes b3. Okay, now they're going to castle short, so a change of plan by white. But a logical one, I think. Now I'm going to play b4. Let's see where this knight goes. Kind of has to go to a bad square, doesn't it? If I had taken on b3, white would be able to play knight e4 in response to b4. But now that I keep this knight on c5, not trading it for the bishop, they can't use the e4 square. They would just lose a pawn. So I think, well, never mind. They are going to use the e4 square. But that should just give me a free pawn, right? Let's see what you got, Dim ICC. You guys know I'm greedy. I mean, I always make people prove it. I don't part with pawns lightly myself, so if I sense that I can snatch one, I'm like usually on the spot to do that. Okay, here I really want to play c5, c4 if I can. But I think white's going to whisk the queen away to h4. That's probably what they're going to do. So let's be a little savvier. Let's play this move first and try to threaten c5, c4. I'm also taking aim at that knight on e2. So maybe now white has to play like bishop c4 in an effort to block me from, or yeah, some move like that. That's probably also a smart idea. Queen d6 perhaps. Yeah, I think queen d6 is all right. Queen takes a5 can't be played because a bishop takes e2 with a discovery. If we swap, they still have to worry about the c-pawn rushing up. Maybe knight d4 is possible. Knight d4, c5, knight b5. Looks odd, but perhaps playable. They played that instead. Okay, I like seeing that move because now I think I can play rook e8 pretty comfortably and just take an action against white ever playing rook e7. Yeah, let's do that. Just before anything else, before I determine what I'm going to do with the d and c pawns, I think it makes sense to shut down white's counterplay with rook e7. Rook d1 was played, so now pawn up to d5, I'm thinking. g5 also crossing my mind. This looks like the most reasonable move, though. Now an idea could be knight d7 to c5, if I want to reposition a little bit. My knight is not doing anything here, so yeah, let's get this guy working somewhere. Somewhere better than it currently is. Okay, knight up to c5 seems logical. So now g5 could be a very real idea. And if knight d3, bishop takes d3, c takes d3, knight takes b3 is going to win a piece. So they can no longer seriously consider that. If g5, I think they have to play knight h5. Which also looks like not great. g5, knight h5, king g6, g4. But how to punish them then? Maybe just f5 there. Knight back to g3. It's something for white. Another move I'm thinking about is knight e6. I feel like my knight is good here, though. I mean, it attacks b3 and kind of eyes a4. Could also play bishop c4, couldn't I? Bishop c4, take, rook d4. That should also be pretty good. Don't want to lose on time, though. That would be bad. Okay, so I'm going to play this. And I think I might go for that idea after knight h5, king g6 is played. So bishop c4. Oh, but they do that instead. That's surprising. h5 now? Yeah, let's go h5. Trying to chase the knight with h4. I really thought white was going to play g4 there. They surprised me. Let's take that off his hands. Take, rook in. I have so much time here. Time to execute my plan, that is. So I'm going to play the pawn up to f4 and try to go rook into e3 after this. Figuring that white basically can't do anything here. If they move the bishop, I take a4. So white is kind of just stuck as far as I can tell. Like now we'll bring this in. And just threaten to take. Gotta watch that time though. I really don't have much. I spent a lot of time thinking about g5. But I think this should be lights out. I really do not see much white can do here. I mean, bishop takes d5 would not completely surprise me because white might just want to give up some material to try to escape to some sort of tenable ending, but it's probably not going to happen. Okay, now let's just shut down anything they have on the king side. Take away counterplay. Probably a4 next. Okay, they're going to allow me this. Now we're just going to win a bevy of pawns. Let's go here. Protect everything. B pawn is ready to promote. Yeah, and he resigned. So I was able to take my time in this endgame. The position is really static, and the feature that stands out, kind of like that other Scandi game where white had that bad bishop on a4, is the bishop on b3. That's just not a happy piece here, especially when I put a pawn on d5. It has no scope. And I wanted to somehow attack that bishop in a way that maybe I could win the a pawn as well. So that's why I tried to maneuver the knight around to c5. And one of my ideas from here was to play bishop c4, try to get him to take so I could eventually go take this guy. I think knight g3 is not good. I'm able to push all my pawns over here, and white's just kind of scrambling. Yeah, and after knight f1, this trade is just decisive for black. I'd like to play knight takes b3, c takes b3, then rook e3, but I wasn't sure about rook c2, counterattacking the pawn. So the cardinal rule of the endgame, as elaborated on by guys like Capablanca, is don't hurry. You never want to hurry in the endgame, especially in a better position. I mean, okay, there's times where you do have to hurry in the endgame, but the endgame is the time to, it's the time to take your time and properly figure out a plan, figure out how you can accumulate your advantages and eventually convert the position. In the absence of tactics, that is. So you won't have a lot of complicating factors as you might in an opening or a middle game, so you can probably more easily discern the plan in the end game and be deliberate in how you implement that plan. So that's why I got this pawn all the way up to f4, which anchors in my rook to e3. Then I can take on b3, and white doesn't have that capture on c6. Maybe white can play rook c1 here, but if they do that, rook c1, I could even hold off on trading for a while and just bring my king over to d6. Like rook c1, king f6. White is almost helpless. Maybe I even throw in h4 first just to make sure g3 is never played. Bring the king over to d6. I'm going to take on b3, and something's going to fall. Or they're going to move the bishop, and I take on a4. Thanks for tuning in, Ryan. Wow, lots of people are getting banned in the chat. This is unusual. Just going to throw on the engine real quick. Just wanted to see if there was somewhere white could have played better. Knight e4 just looks like a blunder. But maybe... Huh, the computer was saying knight e4 for a second, but it appears to just outright lose a pawn. So I'm kind of surprised by that. Yeah, in the game, white was never able to demonstrate any compensation. I think right here, probably white has to take their chance with knight d4. Attacking the pawn, but trying to buy time for rook e7 by making that pawn attack. I was trying to calculate if knight d4, c5, knight b5, what's going on there. Because if I take, then a takes, and suddenly that rook on a1 is participating, hitting the pawn on a5. But as played, I was very happy. I was able to take away all meaningful counterplay that white has. g5 here is good. Okay, so I could have played g5 even sooner. But so is the knight maneuver to c5. That's also promising. Yeah, and g4 right here is the best move. And just to show you what I had in mind against that, let me go to that position. Not sure if it's great, but after g4, I was thinking bishop c4. This is my big idea. Trying to get white to take, and then I was hoping to go win this a-pawn. And if rook d6, I thought I could just play here. But then white pulls the rook back, and if I take... Wow, f4. Okay, so there's some particular tactical problem. Now that my rook has been lured to e6, f5 check is an option. That's pretty hard to see. Yeah, maybe this idea isn't that good. So what should I do instead after g4? Bishop c8, I think the computer was saying. Probably go for f5. Rook f8, try to support f5 somehow. In that case, I'm not even sure I should play g5. I maybe should do some other move here. Okay, bishop c4 right away is suggested, but the reason why I didn't do that was because of this. And I thought at least I could get this type of position, but with white's knight further away. But this seems to be good. Yeah, just take on b2. White gets some activity, but this a-pawn is a beast in the endgame. Okay, so we did all right in this session. If we just tabulate the results real quick. Yeah, I played 6 games and I scored... 5 games and I scored 4.5 out of 5. I will take that. Someone said the sound stopped working. Yeah, I hope that was just on your end, Monster. Anybody have any last minute questions before I kill this stream? Thank you guys for watching, as usual. Cool. Glad to hear that, Michael. Hope you're having fun in your chess club. Yeah, I think they went as expected, Lotzi. The Chess.com Blitz Battle semifinals. Not too many surprises. Magnus versus Carlsen in the finals. And as I said earlier, I don't really know who to favor in that. It's I wouldn't be surprised to see either player win. Magnus is the big unknown. Like, we know how good Hikaru is in Bullet, right? And Blitz. Really any fast time control and chess in general. But Magnus is the big unknown. He seemed to pretty handily beat Grishuk and didn't seem at all disturbed by the very fast games. On the Chess.com show today, they were making the point that 1-1, so 1 minute with a 1 second increment, is a lot different than 1-0, where there's always that flagging factor, the very big flagging factor, which Hikaru takes liberal advantage of. So I think the fact that it's 1-1 definitely plays to Magnus's advantage. Still, though, I somehow feel like Naka might be a slight favorite. I could be crazy for saying this. I know I should never bet against Magnus, especially when he's playing Naka, but somehow I feel Hikaru might be a slight favorite. Did I say Magnus versus Carlsen? Sorry about that. Thanks, Jackson. What will be the new hypermodern opening? in 30 years, in my opinion. I don't know. I don't think any major systems are going to get discovered. I think in chess we're at the point where most all the good openings, like really every good opening, has been unearthed, and people just kind of switch lines in and out. It's just like a fashion thing. There are some openings like, the Sicilian Najdorf that have stood the test of time, and even 30 years ago, people were talking about how that's like the Cadillac of openings and the line that's one of the toughest to crack if you're an E4 player as white. And I haven't really seen that change. I mean, even with computers being involved and people conducting analysis all the time, some of the prevailing wisdom has held true. Although there have been systems like the Berlin, for instance, which have rose to prominence in the past, less than 20 years, when Kramnik used it to good effect against Kasparov in their world championship match. So you can see things like that, like little deviations. Like maybe an opening like the Petrov will make a comeback. I don't know. Really hard to say. But as far as anything new, I don't think we're likely to see that. I think we're likely to see small twists and some lines that have recently become fashionable, maybe rising to the fore. I've been a tournament player for many years and have the habit of leaving the board often. And he wants to know how that hurts his concentration and how I deal with it. Yeah, leaving the board when you're a tournament player is a big thing, because I've seen some players who are really disciplined and can sit there for the entirety of the game, like whether it's 3-4 hours, however long, and they just hardly ever get up. Like the only time they might get up is to go to the bathroom real quick. I've never really been like that. Like I also leave the board. I don't do it as much as I did when I was younger. When I was younger, and I mostly see it with younger players too, a lot of younger players have a really bad habit of just, they make their move and they get up and walk around. And it doesn't help that the top players in the world also do this like very frequently. So I think you just have to be reasonable about it. Like getting up kind of resets your head in a way too, which is good. But you don't want to like leave the board right when a critical decision is coming up and you could be spending that time thinking on your opponent's time. Or if like both players are under 20 minutes or something, it doesn't make sense to leave the board very often then. So I'm not going to say don't do it, but be smart about it when you do it. Who's the strongest opponent you played against, and is the game available online anywhere? That's a great question. I know when I played the Reykjavik Open, I played it twice in Iceland. I played Grandmaster Gajewski from Poland, who was very strong 2600 player at the time. I also played Ho Yifan when she was women's world champion in the same tournament. She was in the 2600s. I played like many 2650 players. I don't think I played anyone who was like over 2700 at the time. Although, actually, no, I always forget this. I played Wesley So twice in local tournaments here in Minnesota, and he was above 2700, I think, on both occasions. So yeah, Wesley So, definitely the highest rated player I've faced. And I lost both of those games. They're not available online, but maybe I'll put them on my channel sometime or put them up for you guys to have a look at. They were both semi-Slav games. One was an anti-Moran and one was a Cambridge Springs variation. Yeah, I played Andreikin, although that was a blitz game. I played a lot of the really top players in the world online. I played Akara before. I very well could have played Magnus before, for all I know. I don't know what my IQ is. I've never had it tested. I don't think it's anything spectacular. John, what order do you think is best for a tournament player to improve besides tactical vision, obviously being a given? Do you think opening ideas, middle game planning, or end game concepts is more important? Really depends on your level. That's a very rating-specific thing. I mean, you said besides tactical vision. I think besides tactical vision, you just need to get a lot of practical experience under your belt, really. Like, aside from all the stuff you listed, and that is more important if you're higher rated, but if you're asking that question and you're like, let's say 12 or 1300, you just need to play a lot more. That's by far the best use of your time in analyzing your games as well. We'll see about those archive games. So I know I've been posting a lot less, guys. lately, so I hope you guys are bearing with me as I've been slightly less active on the channel. I've got a lot of stuff I want to do. It'll be a matter of time. I'm kind of hesitant to like commit to anything because I've done this in the past, and all I think it does is create like more pressure on me to make certain videos, as it would on anyone. Like anytime you commit to anything in life, there's this inherent pressure to follow through with that. And I want to keep the channel fun, so if I say like, yeah, I'm going to put out another video on one of my archived games, like now I'm thinking, okay, I got to record that at some point. I got to do all the things I need to do to record an actual live board, which is actually a lot trickier than you think, like getting the angle and the lighting correct and do the analysis on it. So I'll leave that open to interpretation, my interpretation. How to improve technique. Try to study some players who have excellent technique. Pretty much all the elite players do, but also guys like Karpov, for instance, is one guy I learned a lot from, seeing how he converts advantages. That would be my recommendation. Jordan, you forgot about me after 1 week? You guys. I swear I'm not ignoring anyone, but I'm trying to answer a question and look at the stream, and they oftentimes go really, really fast. Will you ever play the Hobart Open? Send me the details on it, Priya. I'll consider it. I'll consider anything. Not sure, Arab. I got some good recommendations for that, but not sure. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap up the stream. It is almost exactly midnight. So thank you all for watching. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah, and played pretty well. I wasn't sure how I was going to fare back at it after slight inactivity, but yeah, it was good fun and played some good chess, and glad I was able to catch up with you guys tonight. Apologies once again to the Europeans. I hope you can watch this when you wake up in the morning, if you're not already up. All right, guys, I will talk to you again soon. Have a good night or day, and be well. Bye, guys.